Hi everybody, this is Tina with Rehatch Designs. Hope everybody's doing well. I am here today to kind of work on my winter journal a little bit more. We had constructed the cover, and it will be in the playlist. I don't really have them marked like 1, 2, 3, whatever. I'm just going to put, winter journal, and then they're in order in my playlist, so I guess I will really have to mark them so that you know what they are, right? Maybe, I don't know. I'll have to go back and change it, I guess. But anyway, it's not really a start to finish. I'm just kind of popping in and out with it because I'm going to have to do a lot on my own, simply because they're kind of behind. I should have had them already done. And then we'll start working on something else. So I kind of want to show you me decorating the cover, because I think people really enjoy that, from what I can tell, as far as when they're watching. And they like the construction part of things too, from what I can tell. So, I do that just based on how many people watch and that kind of thing. So I'm trying to include the parts that seems like most people have interest in. But anyways, guys, so I will be doing that, and then that's probably all we're going to have time to do, because we have 2 covers. So let me show you kind of what we have. I have a few little parts that I'm going to possibly use. The way I do things whenever I am making something is I kind of go through and pick out what I think I might use, and I may not use all of it. So that's what happens to me, and so there's a very good chance most of the time I don't use all of it. So let me show you what we got so far before my desk becomes too cluttered. If you guys ever watch me, you'll see that by the time I get done doing something, I have like a 6-inch space in my desk, so there's not usually a lot of room. I really do crowd myself after a while, but I bet a lot of people do that. So okay, so this is our covers that we made, and we wanted them to look kind of leathery, and I think they did. I think they turned out really good. So we're making 2 different 1-inch with 1-inch spine, 1 signature journals. And enough of you said you wanted me to mix them. I still don't know what I'm going to do, but I think what I might do is I'll for sure mix the two different types in one, and the other one I may just do by itself. I may just do Winter's Magic and mix it with Winter Tale in this by TaylorMade Journals, and I'll mix one, and then maybe just do Winter's Tale in one is what I think I'm gonna do. Not positive yet. Okay, let me kind of give you an idea of what I think I'm gonna do. Okay. I'm not positive either, so we'll see. Let me get all the stuff out of here so we can kind of work on this. I have cut out this, and I believe this is from Winter's Magic, and then this is just from one of the pages. I just kind of fussy cut these out, and I think I'm going to put this on one and this on another. And then I wasn't really sure, because I actually was looking at this one time too, and then this. Okay, so I'm going back and forth, but I kind of think I like the idea of not putting something just square on there, okay, and have this cut out because it's a little different, okay. And then what I was going to do is I have some paper, and I'm probably, you guys have seen me, I've used this paper, so this is my last piece, and from an old paper pad that I had. It's really kind of funny because I actually used quite a few pieces of that paper pad, not just of this one piece, but different ones. And you know, sometimes it just pays to go back in and look through your stuff and see what you have. So I'm going to maybe use that as kind of like a background along with some of this corrugated cardboard, because I want it to look kind of rustic. And then I have a little bit of burlap. And I think I was going to put some cheesecloth in there too. Maybe some vintage music paper. I'm not sure yet. So I just will kind of, you're just going to kind of be there with me. I have tons of this, and I'm going to get, I bought these dishes and they all came with this, which you should have seen me. I was excited to get, these are like my everyday dishes, you know, and I was really excited to get the dishes, don't get me wrong, but you guys know this. And so then when I got this, when this was, the packaging was in there, I was like, oh my God, I was so excited. You can buy this actually, and then I also have a thing that corrugates it and makes it, but this is a little bit lighter weight than some of the other stuff that I've had before. I can use this one and just tear it down a little bit. Okay, so I think that will work. All right, I'm going to do this, and then we are going to, let me get this paper over here. I have this paint that I just bought, and it's this gray metallic. I've never used it. I'm going to try it, okay? To see. And I don't think I want just one color. And shake it. It's in a tube. I just bought a whole thing of just different metallic paints because I found that I was using them a lot. Oh, probably has a seal on it, I bet ya. Yep, it does. And I thought to myself, well, you know what? I do use a lot of metallic paint, so I did buy that. This is probably, yeah, I might mix the two just to get the right color that I want. So that was a little gift I got myself for Christmas because I really had, I found myself using my texture stuff for painting, and the problem with that is it's not cheap. And I thought to myself, well, you know what? Why don't I just and try the dark color. Oh yeah, it's a little dark, but I really don't want it to be just one color, so I'm going to kind of mix the two as I go. I'm going to want this to look like, you know, tin when I get done, because I figured that silver rustic look would look good with the gold. I'm trying super hard not to be too glitzy about this. I'm not saying I won't put a little sparkles in it here and there, but my goal is to make it kind of look like a rustic winter, you know, something you would see. Oh yeah, that's going to work perfect. See, I really like that because it gives me the effect I want without wasting the texture paste. I think I'm going to try and use some of this to make texture paste, but the Vicki Boutin stuff I have, I love it, but it's not cheap. I mean, it's just not cheap. So, you know, I don't want to put myself in a situation where I'm using it pretty much as paint. I'm not necessarily using it for the texture. Okay, let me get another piece out. I like that. We'll have to dry it and see. And then what was I going to do? I got to do the other one if I'm going to do it like that. I like to pay a lot of attention to my covers just because I really do think that that's what makes it interesting. And you'll see, to me, a lot of people that have their junk journals, they'll have them sitting out, you know, on a coffee table or in a guest room or, you know, something like that. And to me, that is the reason why you want your cover to be super interesting, because, you know, that's what's going to happen is somebody's going to see that and go, oh, that looks interesting, and that's what's going to entice them to look in it, you know. Okay guys, so I have both of my little tin pieces here dry, and what I want to do is kind of make them look old, okay? And if you watch my series on tags, I kind of did that with that. I'm using Rusty Hinge Distress Oxide and Wild Honey and Gathered Twigs, and I just put a little bit in here. I'm going to use it this way rather than just spraying it on, because I have a little bit more control. And I'm just going to kind of take the 3 different colors and kind of go just across some different areas. And this is pretty random. I'm not really, you know, trying too hard to, you know, worry about where it's going to go. Let me try a little bit more of the Wild Honey. I didn't put that much in there. It doesn't take much really to do this, so okay, maybe I'll just use the rest of it right here. Okay, so then I'm going to take another color, and I'm not even gonna do anything with my brush. This is Rusty Hinge, and I'm gonna kind of go almost right over it where I just did it. Okay, maybe hit some spots that I didn't before. And while that might look kind of harsh, I need a little bit more of my Rusty Hinge here. It won't in a minute. Okay, so I want some of the yellow to peek through, but I don't want it to be like, you know, there's no real what can I say, there's no real way you can kind of mess this up. Okay, so now that I've done that, make sure I do a little bit more on the edges here. I'm doing it very light there with kind of a dry brush. I'll take a little bit more of the orange. I think on this one needs a little bit more. Okay, so now put some right there. This is my Gathered Twigs, and you could use Vintage Photo for this or something, but basically any orange, and you can use regular old paint too. You don't need to use Distress Ink. There's no real reason to do that. So then you're going to kind of go over it lightly, and then when your brush becomes empty and it's almost dry, you're just going to kind of barely go over it. Okay, just kind of barely, because you don't want it to all look shiny and new, but you don't want to completely cover it, right? So my brush is kind of dry, and I still have the multiple colors there. And if you put too much in a section or something, then just go back and kind of blot it, and you can take some off. Plus it will blend it, you know. Alright, I think that one looks pretty close to how I want it to look. And then this one, I actually love how that orange and everything in there are. I don't want to put too much brown, but I do need more in here. If I just sprayed it on there, I would have no control, so that's why I don't do it that way. And I just kind of go over it, and I'm just kind of haphazardly. I'm trying not to be perfect about it. It's really the only way for me to explain it, what I'm doing. And with the brown, I kind of want to make sure when my brush is almost dry that I lightly go over it. And that just makes it not look new. You know, you just don't want it to look new. That's really what you're going for. Yeah, I think I like that just the way it is. So I'm going to leave that over there. And that's all I do with that. I'm just kind of mix it up a little. Okay, so next thing, we have our piece of tin, and it looks like a piece of old metal tin, and we want to make sure it's dry. So I'm just going to take some heavy gesso, and I'm going to get a lot of it off of my brush, and I'm just going to kind of lightly go across it. And I'm not trying to frame it or anything. I'm just trying to, you know, just kind of maybe get some white on there, really, is what I'm trying to do. And I'm just picking the paint up and using kind of a dry brush and just doing that. And I'm probably going to put more on the edges because you'll see it more there. Okay. And I'm just taking the paint that I have extra, trying not to do too much because we're going to add more. Let me add a little more in here because I need more. But I'm still kind of wiping most of it off. There we go, that's good. And that's just going to make it look like it's, you know, has snow. I'm going to put a little bit more just pure white down there that's not mixed because I don't want it to just look like a bunch of dirty snow everywhere. And it is going to mix with it because it's a water-based product. So it's not going to, even if it's all the way dry, but that's okay for it to do it a little bit because we're going to add another whole step to that. Okay guys, they're not all the way dry, but we're going to go on to the next step. And the next step is I'm just going to take some texture paste, and this is opaque matte. This is Ranger. You can use any kind, it doesn't really matter. You could even use gesso if you want. The texture paste is just a little thicker, and it goes on where I can make it look blobby, I guess would be the thing. And I'm going to kind of just take it, and I'm mainly kind of going just little sections here and there just to give it a little bit more texture so it'll look like snow. I'm using that same stiff brush. I'm going to do that on this one. And I'm not doing it all over because you're not even going to see a lot of it. So, but I do want it in certain spots. So it looks like, you know, snow has just kind of fallen. And okay, we got it in here. I'm not going crazy. I'm just trying to get it in just a few spots to make it look realistically like snow. That's it. Okay. To do that. I didn't really want it to mix with that yellow as much as it did, so I'm going to put a little bit more weight down there. I think before I dry it, I want to put a little bit of this. This is just iridescent glitter. I don't know how much of it will stick. We'll try it and see. And see if I can get some of it to stick to that. It may not. We'll see. We shall see. I'm going to go ahead and try it and see, because it may stick to the texture paste enough that I don't have to add too much glue or anything. Okay, I'm just pouring it all over, so I'm assuming a lot of it's not going to stick. Oops, there we go. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Not a ton of it stuck, but a little bit of it did. And that's the part where I'm okay with that, because I'm trying really hard not to make this too glitzy or anything like that. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and do this as a voiceover just because of the fact that somehow my microphone wasn't on. But I fast forwarded it just to kind of show you. I completely changed what picture I'm going to use as my focal point. I don't know. I just felt like after I put it all together, it just didn't look right to me. So these were some that I had pulled out before that I showed you that I might use. And so I changed my mind. And I usually do that often. So I'm never married to my first choice. So anyway, I'm cutting these down to fit, and I'm just kind of making them fit what I already did, since I already went ahead and did the other pieces I'm going to put on there. And I also have a piece of burlap that I put in there just for some texture. I always like to add some sort of texture. I tried the cheesecloth and it didn't really seem to work well with the dark leather look on there, so I went ahead and decided to use the burlap. And now I'm using a distressing tool, and I'm just going around the edges of the picture, even though most of it in the end will be covered up. But I want it to look kind of old and like it's been there a while, so I did that. And I did that also on the blue paper that's on the very bottom. And again, you'll only see a little bit of that, but the problem is if you don't pay attention to all the layers are going to peek through, and you want them all to seem like they coordinate or they should be there or something like that. So anyway, so now I'm just inking up all the edges, and that will just make it look a little bit more vintage or grungy or whatever it is you want to call it. I think I'm using walnut stain. And usually when I'm using darker colors, like I'm using the browns and things like that, I usually go for walnut stain because it's just a little bit darker than vintage photo and you can really notice it. So now I'm just kind of positioning everything where I want it. And I also have this book plate that I want to put on there. So I'm trying to position where I'm going to put everything. And you really have to do that. I'm thinking about using this closure, but it's a hitch post closure, and then I decide not to later. I could change my mind again. I still have time to change my mind. Okay, so there I have this piece of burlap, and this is that cardboard backed burlap that I have, and I really love this stuff. I remember when I bought this pad, I don't know what I'll ever use this for, but I use it all the time. And I won't be happy when I'm done. Anyway, I'm just kind of piecing how I want that inside the book plate. And I've got the size I want, so I'm going to cut out 2 of them because I'm going to use them both. And I pretty much just I'm going to glue them in. I'm leaving a gap in it, in the book plate on the top, so that if the person who gets this wants to change the name, they certainly can. I usually always do that. But you will see burlap from the outside, and then I'm going to have the name of the journal, what I'm calling it, on the front. So I'm doing that on both of them. And I'm using 3-in-1 glue. Excuse me. And I like using the 3-in-1 for this because it's a very strong glue. And I also am going to use the 3-in-1 to glue the book plate on. I don't really worry about putting it through with the brads because the 3-in-1 does hold it. It's on there very strong. I'm going to let those book plates dry a little bit and go ahead and put the other pieces on because I did put a lot of glue on them. And so I'm positioning it pretty much where I kind of auditioned it earlier. And again, I'm just using 3-in-1. I usually do use 3-in-1 on the little heavier pieces just because it's a little bit stronger. And if they're bumpy, I think it just holds better. And now I'm just kind of positioning everything back to where I wanted it. The thing is, you're barely going to notice the tin when I get done with this. But that's okay because, you know, that's how it works. Is that when you have the layers, you don't always notice everything in the layers. So I'm just putting some 3-in-1 glue on the burlap. And that is going to go on that bottom layer. And then I'm going to take my tin layer. I'm going to put that next. And I'm pretty good amount of glue because I know that it's a little bumpy and I want to make sure that it adheres good. So now I'm putting my picture on. And while this cover, or both of these covers, are going to be fairly layered, it's still going to be fairly flat. It's not going to be, you know, that bulky. And it'll still be very lightweight. So, being that it's just a one signature journal, I kind of want to make sure that I don't over bulk it. So now I'm looking for my brads and I'm going to put those in. I'm thinking about putting them behind and punching a hole in there, but I just don't think I want to do it that way. I'm just going to go ahead and I think glue it on. So I put brads in it even when I glue it on. I just put them in there and open them up. And then I just glue that on with the little brads because I don't like leaving the hole, empty in there, even though I'm not actually using the brad to put it on. And honestly, the glue is just as strong, if not stronger, than putting it on with the brad. But of course, I mean, you definitely could do that, especially in this journal, because you can open it up and put it through there. So I am going to just put some glue on there and make sure I don't glue my top part, that I have left a slot so that you could put something in there if you want to change the name or add something or do whatever. So I'm just going to center it and put it on there. Making sure I get all the extra glue off of it. And I'm just going to use some clips just to make sure that there's enough pressure on there just to keep it down until it's dry. And the other thing too is when you put a sealer on your cover, it's a little slick. So it may take a little bit more glue and a little bit more time for the glue to, dry and adhere. So you got to be cautious with that. It's not that it won't work. It just may take a little more glue and it may just take a little bit longer. So now I'm putting these little corner pieces on, and they're just corner protectors, and they're the same kind of antique brass. And I always put a little bit of 3-in-1 glue and I pinch them closed a little bit. And that's just to make sure that they stay on. And the main reason I'm putting them on is it's purely decorative. I just kind of want to match the fact that I have the other antique brass piece. I want it to kind of look like it's a leather cover with, little brass protectors on it. And they won't interfere with the pocket or opening and closing or anything like that. So, and I buy my metal plates and these protectors and things. I buy them on Amazon. I get them for a really good price, but I buy them in bulk. So I have a lot, probably more than I'll ever use. But I just don't really like buying like 3 or 4 of something and paying the same price that I would pay for 20, So anyway, that's usually how I buy. Okay, so now I am just going to add a few more things on here. I went ahead and glued a few snowflakes on there. I put one on the wood piece because I thought it made it pop more. And then I put a couple others on there. But I also have these little leaves, these little die cuts. And they're like kind of branches. And I cut them all out in white. And I'm wanting to add those because I want it to look more like you're looking through a foresty type window or something. Anyway, I'm showing you my my kind of mica spray that I have, and it works. It is made from eyeshadow that I get at the dollar store, just white shimmering eyeshadow. You can certainly use mica. I use alcohol ink and liquid hairspray, and that's basically the formula. And I sprayed all of them with that, just to give it kind of a little glistening look to it. And now I'm just kind of placing kind of where I think I want them, I kind of have an idea of what I want. I want them kind of tucked underneath these snowflakes. Just as the snowflake is kind of a little center part of it, and then the one on top not as big as the one on the bottom. And so I'm just kind of placing them where I think I might want them. And I'm trying to keep in mind that, I don't want them to overpower the focal point. But at the same time, I want it to look like, I don't know, they're peeking through. You're looking through and seeing this, this owl flying, or you're seeing the fox, just peering through the woods. And that's kind of the look I'm going for. But all in white. So anyway, I had cut all of these out. Some of them a while back, and some yesterday. Just kind of placing where I want them. And I'm tucking them underneath that snowflake. It wasn't glued on all that good, and I knew that. So I kind of decided where I wanted it first, and then I thought, well, I'll go ahead and add the branches underneath it. So that's what I'm doing. And then after I get everything where I want them, then I'm gluing it down, and I'm using my oh gosh, I can't think of the name. My glue to glue it all down. And I'm just taking each branch and putting a little bit of glue on it and then gluing it down. Art glitter glue. Just could not think of the name. It just escaped me. Yeah. So anyway, I'm using art glitter glue, and I'm just I'm getting most of the pieces, and I don't care that they're all glued down perfectly because I do want them to kind of be, some of them to be a little bit loose, but I need the main part of it glued down so that things don't break off. And so it takes a little while to get everything all kind of positioned the way that I want them on both of them. And then I have to add to the top. And I'm doing this I'm going to do this on both covers, not just the one, because I kind of decided that I like it. So that's kind of what I'm going to do. So it does take a while. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. I'm going to work on the top after I get most of them done. This one I kind of decide I don't like where it's at. So I pull it off and it kind of damages that one little tiny piece. So I have to find another piece to fit in there. But I do. I mean, it's not a big issue. So now I'm kind of looking at it and realizing I got to put stuff on top. Can't just have that little snowflake sitting there by itself, which I had originally thought I was going to. Just composition wise, I don't know. To me, you have to have three elements on there. And I look at the bottom snowflake and then the wooden snowflake and then the other snowflake with the branches. And that to me, it all makes sense. It just, the composition wise, it looks right to me. So now I'm just messing with that. I'm trying to figure out the right configuration. And just think, guys, this is speeded up. So you would be tortured if I didn't speed these things up. That's why I think when I'm doing these decorating things, it's just easier to do the voiceover because then I can speed everything up and tell you what I'm doing. And, it's not quite as tedious to watch. But, yeah, this whole video probably started out as a 2-hour video that has been condensed. Okay. So, and if you think about it, that's really, if you're going to be doing 2 covers on anybody that's done journals, a lot of times it'll take you that long to do it, to get it right, to get it the way you want it. It's not that unusual. So, when you say do it in real time, it is a little hard to do that unless you edit and speed it up quite a bit if you've got a lot of content. And I usually do. So anyway, I'll just let you watch me do this. Just trying to, get everything the way I need to have it just so that we can, get our composition right. And it is a little tedious putting in all these little branches, and I'm putting different kinds. I'm not putting all the same because that's pretty much what I'm telling you. If you do all the same, then I don't know. I just don't think it looks as good. What brings it all together is they're all white, okay? And they all have that, you probably can't tell, but the white shimmer, you can see it. Okay, so now I'm going to just start on the next one, and it's a, kind of a tedious process, and I will work on it and get it all done. This is what I think is going to be my finished product. I'm not saying I won't tweak it a little bit more, but I do think that it's looking kind of how I envisioned it, only I wound up using a different focal point, but I kind of was thinking I was going to do that anyway, so I'm not really, I don't like that there. See, that's what I'm saying. It probably will not stay exactly this way, but it'll be close. Anyway, so this is the focal point here. I did look at this originally, and I had wanted to put all these layers on, but it's just the other one wasn't going to fit with the layers I wanted to put on, so I kind of had to make a choice. I could put it on there and not put the layers, or do what I had wanted to do. And no, you can barely see the tin behind here and the paper and the burlap, but that's the whole point, is you're putting layer on layer on layer, and it does have an effect. I don't know that you can really tell at a distance, but it does have an effect when you layer things that way to do that. So all I did is I added a little bit of more texture on here, and I put it kind of a little bit in the little leaves and stuff, because I didn't want it to look like I just had stuck them all in there and they weren't part of the composition. And then I just added a little bit more mica, and then I sprayed it with some Super Hold cheap hairspray, and that will help keep everything all together. It's not going to be, dripping glitter everywhere, and it won't with that on there. I usually put about 2 or 3 coats of that. I'll put more on later, but that does kind of hold it all in place. All right, so that's it. I'm not even sure what we're going to do this next time. I think what I might do is make tags and clusters and all that kind of stuff like that, and then I may do one more where I actually sew in a signature, so that you guys, I know there's a lot of new people, even though I've done it a gazillion times on my channel. I'll do it again. But anyway, I just wanted you to see my process, which is kind of haphazard. And I honestly did plan this, but even when I plan things, I change things constantly. So that's just how I do it. I think a lot of people are like that. I don't think I'm that unusual. And so that's a lot why I don't do things, as I said before, live, because it does take me so long, and I have 4 hours worth of video to edit, into 30 or 45 minutes. Okay guys, so we'll see you next time. Don't forget to like, subscribe, make a comment, and if you make a comment and subscribe, that enters you in to my next giveaway. Will be when I hit 3,000, and hopefully I'll get there very, very soon. And I am giving away a journal for that, and it'll be a nice one. So all right, we'll see you then. Bye, next time.